So the piece in the gallery that I have is called Incertidumbre, and it was basically created to reflect just all the anxiety that I've been feeling since mid-March, just because the pandemic first really affected my work life, and that in turn affected my home life. There was just like a lot of disruption. And for a few months, I was just really sitting on those feelings, trying to like just figure it out, and especially try to figure out how to kind of like piece together the different pieces of my life that were like kind of falling apart around me, as like dramatic as that is to say. But it was just weird since I had this like set up routine between my work life, and completely losing that really disrupted how I was like functioning at home. And then of course the pandemic just kind of like had this overarching effect on housing and things like that, so it kind of brought on this decision to have to move, and like just dealing with all these different things I had to like connect and disconnect and reconnect. I was just very much in those feelings and trying to figure out how I can find an outlet for it, because I especially at that point been like in this kind of like art block, story block when it came to zines. I just couldn't really figure out what to make. But after kind of just sitting with it for a minute, most of my zines tend to be like I just kind of like jot something down. They're mostly like diary and like mini memoir comics. So I started that way, and then after writing some things down, I decided to like go ahead and write things down in Spanish as I just try to like figure out my own bilingual skills, as that's something I want to like try to push more in my comic work. And then I just decided to take a stab at it. Like I'd written a series, like maybe like I guess you could call it like a tiny poem in Spanish, and just kind of started illustrating what I felt was um, this like serenity that I was longing for and that I really missed and wanted, but that had like a very strong juxtaposition with the text, because I'm always trying to figure out like the juxtaposition of the text and image, but especially when I work in Spanish, because for me that language just feels a lot more figurative and indicative of emotions I want to portray. So trying to figure out how I can get those two worlds kind of like meshed together. Um, and it's a pretty short comic. Like a lot of these comics that I've been making kind of like during this period, but also just like generally, I call them like little comic vignettes. Because for the most part, they tend to focus on like the fleeting nature of like emotions and memory and just like the feelings that penetrate you as you're like thinking back on these times. And especially now more than ever, I'm like really concerned with like my mortality, but also at the same time, the the timelessness, but also like impermanence of existence, just kind of how those two go hand in hand, like just like living through a moment and feeling like this day is taking forever, but at the same time, it's like a very short moment in the grand scheme of like your life and all the lives around you. Um, so I felt like this work just really encompassed that for me, and kind of I feel it like to be a template of like things I want to continue moving forward as I try to like re-envision what I want my next series of zines to be, especially the ones in Spanish. I just felt like it really gave me the chance to kind of create a little bit of control in my life, and also just like take those really seemingly palpable but like not physically palpable like tension in my life and like channel that um, into this comic.
So the piece I have up is called, I think I called it Beach Days. And I'd been working on it. I'd sort of finished it like maybe like a year or like just like a few months ago or something, but I'd never like done anything with it. Even though I liked it a lot. But it was just something that I just had there. But I'd kind of returned to it recently because it's kind of just like this beach scene of like these kind of gender nonconforming people like splashing around, and I kind of came back to it because I miss the beach, like I miss going out, and so I was just like, wow, this is like what I need right now. And so I just started tinkering with it again. And I decided to send that one in because I think it's kind of emblematic of what I want to do with my art, which is kind of portray people of marginalized genders having good times, and just really taking up space and being happy and just existing in really casual ways.